Hello, I know Ray and Sarah like grandma sauce, so I thought I would just make a really quick sauce today. This is what I happen to have in my cupboard. I have some crushed tomatoes, I have tomato sauce in the can, and then we're going to need tomato paste. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands, and we're going to wash the tops of the cans because we don't know what might have crawled on top of them before we got them home from the store. So let's do that. Okay, first. The cans are open, and before we start, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the pan, and then I'm going to mince up some garlic. Let me turn this on high. I have a big pot, and we're going to mince some garlic. I usually crush them like that first. And then I'm only using a couple of cloves. You can put as much garlic as you like, but I'm also going to be adding some basil pesto that I made from homemade basil. So I'm going to add that to it as well. Okay, that's about a tablespoonful, but you can always add more. Oh, I have to show you something. This is Grandma's. I found it at a shop. What does that say? I don't need a recipe because I'm Italian. I do try to follow recipes, but I use them more as a suggestion usually. So that's why my things are a little different. Anyway, okay, so let's put the garlic in and get that a little bit started before we put that. And I'm not going to let it really get brown. So I got the crushed tomatoes. I'm going to put those in. And take every nice bit of tomato out of there. Woo! Okay, let me lower that meanwhile. And then 1, 2. So we'll have plenty of sauce for dinner tonight. And plenty for the freezer for the days that we don't want to cook. So what I do is I usually clean this out with a little bit of fresh water because I don't want to mess up or miss out on any of the tomato sauce that we have. And you don't have to worry about adding a little bit of water because we're going to add some tomato paste, which thickens it up anyway. Okay, there we go. And, well, I don't think I could do it with this. Sometimes you can actually take the bottom off of the can and then just push it right through, but I won't do that today. I'm going to take about half of that because this is not a full pot of sauce. So I'm just going to break up the tomato paste. And we're going to let this simmer for about an hour. Meanwhile, we'll be making our meatballs. And then that'll be that. Put it in there. All right, so I don't measure. I kind of look. This is oregano. You can kind of take a peek, Grandpa. I've got the oregano and onion powder. And then pepper. I usually pour it. About a teaspoon. Yeah. And then the salt. Now I know there's a little bit of salt in the sauce, but there was none in the crushed tomatoes, so we may have to, keep testing that. So get that mixed in. Okay, I have taken my basil out of the freezer. I usually make pesto, and I froze it, so I'll take about a tablespoon of my pesto. It's got olive oil, more garlic, and some basil. So that should be enough to start with, and then we will let that simmer, and we will give it a taste after it starts melding together. Okay, are we ready to make some meatballs to go with the sauce that's simmering? I always buy, I try to buy organic meat because they don't add antibiotics, and sometimes you can't find it. But you could use ground round or ground chuck, but at least let it be 80% lean. We do want some fat in it because that does make it taste better. So we're going to mince up some garlic. I started mincing it, but then realized that I had a garlic press. So just going to do that and do that. We need about a teaspoon, but you can add, you know, up more if you like it. And this makes it a nice size. And we'll just put the rest of that in there. Okay, so we usually mix all the spices and the cheese together. So let me get another bowl. And the spices are a half a cup of breadcrumbs, and a quarter cup of Parmesan cheese. This is, you can use shake cheese if you have shake cheese, but I like to use Parmesan or Rosaccio or Romano or anything like that. So this is a little bit bigger pieces, but it really does make it good. I'm doing it over a bowl. So we want a half a cup or a quarter cup of cheese. Set that aside. Really good flavor. All right, so in addition to that, we want a half a teaspoon of cracked fennel. I usually do kind of a heaping one. And I have my little pesto thing, so we're gonna break it up so that all the flavor comes out in there. Okay, smells good already. Okay, there's the fennel. And 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of pepper. I know that sounds like a lot. At first, I wasn't really sure. That's okay. But actually, you need it all. So, and a teaspoon of pepper. Well, I like pepper anyway, so it's not too much for me. And a half a teaspoon of oregano. Set that aside, and we're going to mix it. Of course, I washed my hands and took my rings off because naturally we're going to mix this by hand. So we're going to mix that all up so that when we add it to the meat, it will already be mixed. We're going to add 1 egg to the meat. And I think I have everything in there. Well, I have everything but 2 ounces of wine or water. I don't have wine open today. You can use white wine, red wine. So we're going to just use about 2 ounces of water. And we're going to mix it thoroughly with our hands. You want it to be really mixed well, and it's good for the meat to have that mixture feeling. Meanwhile, while I'm doing this, I turn the oven on to 350, so it's getting nice and hot. And I put some parchment paper in my pan. It's easy, you know, to do that. It's easy to clean up with the parchment paper. You don't have to if you don't have it, but that's fine. So we're going to make these into golf ball size or larger. I like this golf ball size. It seems to fit nicer on the plate. So let's go ahead and start making them. Grandpa's helping me. This is going to be dinner tonight. We're going to make some spaghetti with fresh made meatballs and sauce and maybe some garlic bread. Do we need a lesson on garlic bread as well? And you could pan fry them if you like, but to me this is so much easier, and you only have to cook them about 8 minutes maybe 8 minutes. It's okay if they come out a little bit, you know, not fully done, especially if you're going to put them in the sauce for a couple of minutes. That's kind of a big piece of garlic. We may not better use that one. The recipe says it serves 6 people, but you'd have to be pretty hungry to eat all these meatballs, so it makes quite a few. Some people like to put veal in their meat. You can use whatever you like, but this recipe calls for a pound of meat, so you would have to make the adjustment of your spices if you're going to make it like 2 pounds. That's too big. Too big. This one is extra big. Let's see what we're going to do. This is what we do. We take a little bit from here, and we take a little bit from here, and maybe a little bit from here, and we get a whole nother meatball. There we go. All right, we'll fit you right in, and let's get that in the oven. Okay, let's put them in the oven. And we're going to set the timer for like 8 minutes. And we'll check on it a little bit. And let's check on our sauce. I have it on low, but we have to be careful. It might be popping up. So, oh yeah, it's boiling away in there. Let's keep it lower. Starting to smell good. Let me give it a taste and see. Might need more salt, I think. We'll let it go a little bit longer, but maybe a little bit later we'll put a little salt in there. Looks like the meatballs are done. They look brown enough. Yes, yes, yes. I take them out when they're just done because I'm going to add what we're going to eat for dinner into the pot, and the rest I'm going to let cool and freeze flat, and then when I need meatballs for next week, then I can just take out as many as I want. Let's see. Oh yeah, they're nice. Nice, nice, nice. So let's put a few in our sauce. Grandpa, how many do you want for dinner? 3 or 4 or 5? Okay. Let's put a few in. Let me get a spoon here and put some in there. A little bit hot, but I'm going to taste that one anyway. All right, that'll be good for today. And I did add a little bit more salt and pepper, like I said, because the crushed tomatoes had no seasoning and neither did the tomato paste. So you need a little bit more seasoning as you go. But these are nice and tender. Good, good. Okay, thank you.